Hi everyone, so this is my first try for the video. We will be playing the series as I've promised of rapid games every day. So it will be something like a slow run. There's no limits, the only limit is improvement. So let's get to it. So first I have opened a new account, which is the Sachacek chess on chess.com, and first I will need to play a couple of training games, I guess. So let's see how far we're gonna get. And white plays g3, so I'm not prepared against g3 at all at the moment, so I'm going to go with the classical copycat. That means I do what white does, and then when I feel it's time to change, I will change. So right now it feels like knight c3 is not the move that should be played because it hinders the c4 possibilities. White will be able to play e4 at some point, and then maybe knight g5 trying to recapture this pawn. But I feel like we should not play the same way they do. So maybe we'll play just h6 and wait for what they are going to do. So they are fully committed to play e4. We can stop that with knight c6, maybe. No, it's not stopping because it is actually stopping, because if we take here with the knight, taking back, so we are assuming that the e4 is played. Knight takes e4, knight takes e4, d takes e4, rook takes e4, and then we are 3 times on this pawn. So like playing knight c6 ourselves. Should I do this kind of move? Or can I just add one more protector? And then play knight c6 when they push e4, which will make it impossible. So what we are going to do? No, but bishop f5, they have knight h4, so that doesn't seem to work either. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play knight c6 and just simply hit this pawn twice. Now, am I getting it right or am I getting it wrong? I don't know. We are going to play this line. Obviously, they have no time to push d5. And we are threatening to win this pawn, so bishop f5 maybe. Ask the rook where is it going. It's not going to be very safe on f4, because g5 is going to threaten to win the rook. And that's exactly what they do. So for us to g5 to work, we would need to protect the bishop first, because there's rook f5. And if I don't attack the rook straight away, then it gives them a chance to protect the rook. But I have a move e5. You cannot take here because of the queen hanging. So we can win the pawn on d4 already. So e5 is the move. So I'm studying the games with links, and which is a computer program on leeches that you can play and lose rating with, or gain rating if you want to cheat against them, or if you're strong enough. And I'm using this to improve my openings, and my feeling is that my openings are really improving, especially like the opening knowledge of certain positions. So, and a little bit of also the sharpness, and I can survive some of the games much longer. So sometimes when your opponent plays something unusual as white, for example, you can basically copy their moves if you feel they are sane. But once they start following some plan that looks a little bit suspicious, like for example here e4, you can just simply prepare something against it. Okay, so we are winning an exchange in exchange for slightly worse pawn structure. Here the point is they cannot recapture here because of the pin. So we have time to play maybe e4 and fight for some of these squares. The question here is that after knight h4 the pawn will be hanging. So I'll probably be forced to play knight e7, hitting this pawn, but we will stop any attacks for this bishop, and probably force move like c4. I just need to double check if this is a good way to go. I would want to play f4 at some point. I also can ignore completely everything and just play knight e7 to begin with. But then I feel like if I play e4 and the knight ends here, the knight will be sort of weak, and eventually I might be able to undermine it with a move like f4. And I can put lots of pressure against this pawn. So we are going to go counter-attacking style. I can see that everything displays nicely. I'm using Prism Live software. Not Prism, but Prism. And I kind of like it. I also use it for... So the idea here is to protect the pawn. The c6 isn't going to work because they can push d6. But at the same time, I can play maybe queen to d6, and if bishop f4, we will play bishop e5. Basically, stopping any shenanigans, and then we will. I'm going to attack on the d file. I'm sorry if I'm using the third person language. I keep doing that. Any trades at this point seem to be good for me because we have that extra exchange. The pawn is protected. With a queen on e5, everything should be fine. Push with c5. Yes, so basically white didn't see that the queen laterally protects, or literally as well, if you like. And now I want to push f4 when I have the time, which will undermine the knight on h4. And we have a first victory on the way to our rapid streak. I have put there that I'm tactically good because the next question when you're registering with chess.com is are you the question was, are you tournament player? And I'm no longer a tournament player, even though I used to be. So as we have a little bit more time, we are going to see in the game what could have been. So the opening, I believe there is no issue. the h6 is more of a waiting move because I wanted to see whether white is going to play the e4 move. I believe for us to be able to move the pieces, oh no, we can do it even here, which is great. We would have to, I was thinking capturing, and knight to e2 is already a problem for queen to d4, which I did not consider during the game, but it was one of the idea of h6 that they cannot play knight g5, then they will be here 3 times. But also taking there could be a problem because we are lining here on d4 pawn. So e4 at this stage didn't look like it's going to be working. Rook e1, knight c6 was exactly aimed to support the pressure against the d4 pawn, as I was expecting the e4 to happen. And after this, everything seems to be looking fine. Pawn e5 is probably a strong move as we are winning already the d4 pawn. And up, up, up. I'm just pressing something wrong here. If white plays rook h4, which is probably their best move, we can still play g5, and the rook isn't escaping its ordeal. If it plays rook h5, I have bishop g4, and yeah, the rook is just simply trapped here. So probably best practical decision is to take on f5. If, as I was saying, if you take on e5 with either piece, enjoy your trial. No way, thank you. So I would take here, and you cannot recapture because the queen is hanging. So maybe the only move to continue here is to take here, but it's not going to seem like much of a compensation after rook b8. It's going to be more complicated, but we have enough material for the piece that we won. Or do we? Yes, we do. So yeah, I don't think this was the way to go either. So now rook f5. And obviously here at this stage, if the rook goes, maybe rook could go here. That's like with some idea of putting pressure. And yeah, now that I look at it, it looks like the best possible move, because if we take, and queen to d4, for example, white can take, and bishop b7 after something like rook b8, bishop e4, just to protect this pawn. We take, then we can take here, and I think I still have extra pawn, but things go slightly more complicated if we go all the way here. But that one extra pawn potentially could mean that I'm gonna win the game. So right now I need to be able to access the moves. So after rook f4, e5, takes, d5. So d5, I think e4 is absolutely fine. I was looking at the move as well to play knight e7, because I don't need to really rush things and push this knight about. But the reason why I didn't want to push the knight about is because why I wanted to push the knight about straight away was that I'm allowing them knights to d4 here. So I didn't want to allow it. That's why I play e4 straight away. Again, you cannot take for losing a queen. And after knight h4, we play knight e7, which is dual purpose. Protect the pawn, keep attacking this pawn, which white will probably play c4, but they don't have to, because the idea is if I take on d5, they can take on f5, and this kind of position, let's say white will do something out of ordinary. Let's say they can develop the bishop here. So if I take here with the knight or with the queen, doesn't matter. Their knight takes here, and all of a sudden this pawn is weak. This whole diagonal is going to be weak, and this pawn will potentially fall, and there might be also some pressure on this diagonal. Although I am extra exchange up, it's not worth to take that pawn. So they could have played some reasonable move instead of protecting with a c4, which is a waste of time on this occasion. And again, the same is if I take with a queen. Yeah, so we play this bishop f4 move, which, or maybe bishop e3 move. So if I take with the queen, then again knight takes f5, this pawn becomes weakness, even though maybe I can try and play like this, but white can take with a pawn here. And then this will be eventually very weak pawn. White can potentially sacrifice as well here. Taking on b2 is possible, but it's giving counterattack on the b7 pawn. So this first video, I won't be able to make it much longer because I committed to tournament on leeches. So obviously bishop h6 is a blunder, but which loses the game on the spot. But if bishop e5, then I was thinking just to bring the rook on d8, put the pawn to c6. From e5, I'm also releasing this knight to do whatever the knight wants to do. So some maybe offering the exchange with knight g6, which is kind of irresistible for white to do. Once you play knight g6, you don't want to have your pawn structure messed up. But white can maybe, now I can see that white can maybe play this type of move, which appears strong. But I can stop everything with queen f6, and yeah, the game would still continue though, even though I'm exchange up. So yeah, I'll have to leave the game here. I'm going to do a little bit of transition. So I hope you guys enjoyed the game. I'm just trying to see how this works. I hope you enjoyed the game, and stay tuned. I will be trying and post a video each day, and tomorrow we will have a second game. So guys, you take care. Bye now.